Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, February 11th, 2019. I am your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brains. Today is a slow news day. I suspect a lot of the scientific community is kind of holding its breath, waiting to see what is next in, politics, as so many different parts of our scientific world are a little bit more chaotic than normal. We're going to address some of this today, but before we do that, we're going to discuss happy things, specifically the new Horizons Spacecraft as it flew past 2014 MU-69. It looked over its robotic shoulder, per se, and took a passing last glance at this little, conglomeration of a world. What you see on the left here, that part of the number 8, that is actually the outer edge of this little Kuiper belt object. Now, when we first got images of this down from New Horizons, it looked rather like a snowman made of two big spheroids that were glommed on together. Well, new work done that combined all the different data that we have so far from the spacecraft, and we are still and will be for many months still downloading data from the spacecraft. Based on the early data downloads, folks have been able to add all of these images together and get a new shape model for Ultima Thule. Now, the top image that you see on the right, that's what we thought before. The image that you see on the bottom right, that's what we think now. It turns out that this is more like two skipping stones stuck together than like two balls of a snowman. So it turns out 2014 MU-69 is even crazier than previously thought. We don't even know how to begin to explain pancake-shaped Kuiper belt objects, especially two pancakes joined together. More science to do. This is why we do science. It's because we don't know everything and we want to. And the theorists are going to have a fun time piecing together how exactly you get to this. Now, in other news, we have the migration of Earth's magnetic pole. This has been cropping up more and more in the news lately, and you may have heard stories that range from, oh my God, we are all going to die as the magnetic pole of the Earth flips, to we're all going to get lost because the magnetic pole is moving so fast that the compasses on our cell phones don't work so well, to one particular news story quoted in Live Science actually said, you won't be able to flush your toilets when the magnetic pole moves. Well, toilets don't care about magnetic fields. Your toilet is good. But it does appear that we are getting closer and closer to that global tipping point where the Earth, the planet and the stuff it's made of, stays oriented the way it is currently oriented, but the magnetic field that is defined by the swirling layer of iron inside our planet, it looks like that magnetic field may be in the process of gearing up to make the magnetic north-south and the magnetic south-north in a magnetic reversal. Now, this isn't something that is unexpected. We've known that magnetic fields can reverse for quite some time. We've been studying our own magnetic pole as it appears to migrate across the planet. We've been studying its strength, which varies from place to place on our world. And all things have been pointing to, wow, this sucker is changing a lot towards the weaker, and that usually is what happens in the lead up to a pole reversal. So what is observationally happening is we actually see the North Pole, here denoted as this green point, migrating as the magnetic field changes. So you see it exiting out of northern Canada as it heads over towards Siberia. So currently our magnetic pole is on its way to a new nation. This is actually somewhat problematic because, well, we don't have as many detectors there as we might like. We aren't quite as ready to handle this as we might like. There's a whole lot of not like we'd like. The most confounding problem is, as the pole is moving, it's actually accelerating. And we use computer models to allow your smart device to use your onboard compass to figure out which way is north. And your phone actually corrects for the difference between the rotational axis of our planet, true north, and magnetic north. And if magnetic north is moving faster than our theoretical models, your phone is going to do it wrong. Now, as long as your phone can connect to the GPS satellites overhead, you are good. The problem occurs when you're someplace where it can't connect to satellites. Deep in the heart of medieval cities is one of the places where this tends to happen a lot. So those of you in Europe, you're the ones who are going to feel this the most. Those of us who live out in the Midwest, where it's wide open spaces and corn, literally as far as the eye can see sometimes, well, we can connect to the satellites a little bit easier. So those of you in cities, you can't rely on your compass quite as well as you used to, but scientists are working to update their models as quickly as possible. Another one of the more troubling aspects of our changing magnetic field is there's actually a growing anomaly in our magnetic field that is straight out over the southern hemisphere. It is over Zimbabwe and Chile, expanding across the ocean. And this South Atlantic anomaly is a region through which our magnetic field is just really not working so well. And satellites traveling through this space above the planet Earth aren't as protected from cosmic radiation as they are in other parts of their orbit. And this can have rather bad effects on spacecraft that lose track of many things. And it's this effect on satellites that is really the greatest problem. If our magnetic field does decide to reverse itself, this isn't an overnight process or an instantaneous process. In fact, it's the kind of process that will probably take anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 years. And during that period of time, satellites in low Earth orbit, where they would normally be protected by our Earth's magnetic field, are not going to be protected. And those satellites are going to suffer from all the effects of solar radiation that they are not currently prepared for. This means that in the future, we are going to have to do a much better job at radiation hardening our spacecraft. This is going to drive up the costs, and it's just frustrating. Now, here on the surface of the planet, we will see effects on our power grids. We will see effects on our electronics. We may or may not see effects on ourselves. The loss of the magnetic field in some ways is going to act similar to how holes in the ozone layer have affected people. There has been a significant increase in skin cancer rates down in Australia, but it's unclear just how bad the effect will be. We do have a thick atmosphere that does help. The Earth has had magnetic field reversals before, and there haven't been mass extinctions, but these are all the things that just might happen. Now, the other thing to consider is, while we are having annoying effects right now, we do have this South Atlantic anomaly. We do have problems with our software that predicts where the magnetic North Pole will be. But these things don't mean the reversal is going to occur in our lifetime. Near term on geologic scales might mean tomorrow. It might mean 10,000 years from now. We just don't know. So stay tuned. These are the things that keep scientists, well, awake at night. Now, other things that keep us awake at night and also add to our adult beverage intake are things like governmental shutdown that can shut down government-funded facilities like the Very Large Array. During our last United States partial government shutdown, we were within days to a week of seeing some of the national astronomical facilities beginning to close down to science. This is because the different facilities only have so much cash on hand to do everything from paying the heating and cooling bills to paying the staff and people who keep these facilities running. These are the contractors. Now, we are at T-minus 5 days and counting to another potential government shutdown. And the latest news reports coming out of Washington, D.C. say that the Republicans and the Democrats arguing over a new spending bill are stuck in the details and haven't been able to come to terms with something that will allow them to move our nation forward. Because of this impasse in the House and in the Senate, the National Science Foundation is currently gearing up to figure out how to, keep some of these science facilities going. There's an excellent story over on space.com discussing a press conference last week from the National Science Foundation on measures they are taking to ensure that as many facilities as possible will have the cash reserves on hand that will allow them to keep functioning. So if you have a scientist, a government contractor, anyone in your life who's paid in one way or another by the U.S. government, be patient with them this week and take care of one another out there. This is really stressful. U.S. government contractors are currently looking at having already lost roughly 10% of their income for the year, perhaps losing even more. Yay, politics. So I do have to say thank you for you being out there to support us at CosmoQuest. We are generally funded off of government grants and contracts, but because of you reaching into your pockets and throwing us a few bits now and then, we are able to, at a much reduced state, keep the lights on. And sometimes that's the best you can ask for. So I'm going to bring you one more piece of good news, or at least a good memory, to try and bring us out of that darkness. And that good memory is that on this day, 3 years ago, the LIGO and Virgo Consortium brought us news of the first ever confirmed detection of a gravitational wave. It's only 3 years ago that we were finally able to observationally say, yes, black holes do merge and give off gravitational waves when this occurs. So, good news or a good memory? At least we have the memories. So that concludes my news for today. I am now going to take your questions, and while you type them in, and I'm going to remind you to please, please, please at CosmoQuest X so I can find your questions faster. While you type those in, I'm going to remind you that the Daily Space is part of CosmoQuest, and we are a production of the Planetary Science Institute working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. We are here to put science in your brains, and we are here because of you. We bring you the Daily Space most Monday through Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. That is 6 p.m. London time. In addition to the Daily Space, we also bring you live coverage of spacecraft launches, landings, special events, press coverage, and we periodically also bring you things like, Annie Wilson brings you Sunday Science Hour, and we are going to be bringing you more and more programs in the months to come. So, thank you for sustaining us through your subscription, supporting us with your bits, and allowing us to keep going and keep bringing you science. So let me see what questions you have to bring. Thank you so much, Lancy, for the bits. Can we light up the chat for Lancy? Thank you. So Hanny's Ververb is asking, shouldn't there be a visual signal from the colliding accretion disks of black hole mergers? Maybe it depends on how far away they are. Thank you, Crispy Fried Man, for the subscription. We actually, in the case of a neutron star collision that occurred, and light up that chat some more. And thank you, Susie Murr, for the Twitch Prime subscription. Just keep on lighting up that chat. So in August of 2017, two neutron stars merged together, and in the process gave off an amazing flash of light, flash of particles, and it's estimated that roughly 1/3 of the world's astronomers were involved in either observing that incident or in trying to explain what had been observed. So yes, in some cases we can see a flash of light involved with this, but it all depends on, do we get on target fast enough? Is it near enough that we can see the light? There's a lot of different effects, but we are watching to see all the kinds of light particles and gravitational waves we can see when these events can occur. So I'm going to scroll way back and see if there's any earlier questions that I may have missed. So the magnetic field we have not yet seen affect birds. This is the kind of effect we do kind of expect to see, but we are thinking that birds navigate through a combination of magnetic field sensitivity that isn't sensitive down to the small variations that are being detected that your phone is sensitive to. And they also probably use landmarks as well. So it's going to be a combination of different things that would be taking place. It will affect auroras if the magnetic field does reverse itself, because there will be an intermediate period where the magnetic field just isn't there the way we need it to be there to generate aurora. So the aurora, you're right, Jandraloon, are created by magnetic force interacting with atmospheric gases, but you require a magnetic field for the charged particles to race along that shut off their energy and excite those particles in the atmosphere. So during the period of the magnetic reversal, during that period of time, if we don't have a strong magnetic field, we won't have strong aurora. So it is a transitory effect, but the auroras themselves aren't going to noticeably move as long as we have the magnetic field. So let's see what else is in here. Yes, buy sunscreen, buy all the sunscreens. So let's see. Larry Weird and Proud is asking, is funding available from UNESCO? So for those of you who don't know what UNESCO is, it is the part of United Nations that helps declare World Heritage Sites. So for instance, they're the people that declared Stonehenge a World Heritage Site, that have declared, well, our own Cahokia Mounds here in southern Illinois. These historic places that are considered to be cultural or natural places on our planet that need to be protected so that they can be, well, understood better by future generations and enjoyed by future generations. Now, this part of the UN does have some funding that they provide to protect dark sky sites, World Heritage Sites, things like that, but the kind of work that we're doing with CosmoQuest isn't consistent with the kind of stuff that is funded by UNESCO. So yeah, that is the way it is. And Refs Matt, I like the way you put that. Happy Chirps anniversary. So there was a whole lot of people when we had that initial detection of that first announced gravitational wave that were verbally trying to imitate the sound that you would have been able to hear had the change been in audible wavelengths. I am not going to embarrass myself and try and imitate it. So let's see what other things we have. So yeah, that is all we've got so far for today. So if you don't have any more questions, tomorrow, I'd like to remind you, is Tuesday, which means it will be an extra long day. I am going to I think I'm actually going to discuss World Heritage Sites for Astronomy tomorrow since UNESCO came up. So we're going to do a deep dive into different topics that are brought up by you on our Tuesday shows. So stay tuned to learn about how UNESCO is helping protect the heritage of astronomy all across our own planet Earth. So this is, I guess, the Daily Space for today, February 11th, 2019. One final reminder, we are sustained by you. Every subscription really matters. Every bit really counts. And thank you for making it possible for us to be here in these changing and crazy times. Thank you. That's all I've got. So I'm going to go ahead. I am going to find the start for the credits. I'm going to run those credits, and then I'm going to find someone to raid. If any of you have any suggestions, I am always open. I'm also going to check out who is currently live over at the Knowledge Fellowship. Thank you, Trekker Kev. Thank you so much for the bits. Let's light up the chat one more time for Trekker Kev and his happy bits. Or her, I don't know. Thank you for their happy bits. I'm now anthropomorphizing bits. I'm okay with that, I've decided. So thank you. And if you haven't already, check out the Knowledge Fellowship Discord. It is a collection of streamers who stream science, technology, and other things you can put in your brain. It looks like Demon Machine is currently streaming about auto mechanics and how your car, if you have one, actually works. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a raid when the credits are done rolling. So wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening, afternoon, and if the weather allows, go on outside and look up. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.